Item. SCP-1118. Object Class. Safe. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-1118-1 is to be locked in a safe class inanimate object container at Storage Site 05. Sets of SCP-1118-2 are to be kept in separate locked Sapphire boxes at the same facility. Following Incident 1118/I/551201 and due to the inherent difficulties in tracking related events, only SCP-1118-2D is to be used in testing procedures. Description: SCP-1118-1 is a heavily modified Adler brand typewriter favorite model, serial number 466442, manufactured in 1935 by the Adler Scribe Maschinen Company in Frankfurt, Germany. A small brass plaque mounted on the underside of SCP-1118-1 bears the following inscription: Os Sumum, HH 1937. This has been stenciled over in white paint with GRU, Otdiel Cyrillic letter Petu. Number 12. All of SCP-1118-1's factory key tops have been detached and 31 of its keys have been modified to accept a set of SCP-1118-2. SCP-1118-1's typebars have been removed and replaced with metacarpals and proximal phalanges from 24 unknown donors. These have been fused together by an unknown process to achieve the necessary shape. As these typebars do not contain type elements, striking a key will not cause a symbol to be transferred to any paper inserted into SCP-1118-1. SCP-1118-2 are sets of 31 human molars, their surfaces filed down to permit labeling with an unremarkable black ink, the exact composition of which varies between sets. Sets of SCP-1118-2 contain all 26 letters of the Latin alphabet as well as a spacebar, period, comma, exclamation mark, and question mark. Chemical analysis of the ink used on SCP-1118-2 sets and comparison to reference samples provides an approximate time of manufacturing. An instance of SCP-1118-2 is attuned to a specific target through a ritual procedure as documented in Supplemental Procedure 1118/DX14Z3. These mimeographed duplicates were recovered with SCP-1118-1. The originals are presumed lost. Molars used in the fabrication of SCP-1118-2 sets only need to be whole and devoid of cavities. No further requirements exist. When a full set of SCP-1118-2 is mounted on SCP-1118-1's keyboard, any words typed out on SCP-1118 will be vocalized by SCP-1118-1's target. Note that keys from different SCP-1118-2 sets are not interchangeable. While an operator's typing speed might be variable, targets are able to form intelligible and coherent speech from this input. It is not currently clear how targets manage this. As tests have shown, a target's physiological state is not a factor in this process and speech has been recorded from test subjects not anatomically equipped to produce it. It is currently unclear how SCP-1118 induces vocalizations in these targets. Vocalizations made through SCP-1118 can also influence a target's behavior, though it is unknown whether there are limits to this. Note that if a target is deceased, vocalizations that would otherwise influence behavior will have no effect. Living targets of SCP-1118 will perceive anomalous vocalizations as appropriate and logical, and will become agitated if confronted with the discordance of their speech. Please refer to Psychological Evaluation Log 1118/P/930627A for a behavioral study, both pre and post-event, of test subjects assigned to SCP-1118. Listeners are not subject to this effect and can easily discern speech that might be characterized as out of character for the speaker. 3 complete sets of SCP-1118-2 were recovered and designated A through C. The nominal documentation retrieved with SCP-1118-1 confirms the targets for SCP-1118-2A and SCP-1118-2B. The target of set SCP-1118-2C has not been identified as of yet. Set SCP-1118-2D was created for testing purposes for. It is possible that more complete sets of SCP-1118-2 exist outside of Foundation control. SCP-1118-1 was recovered with an additional 14 loose molars collectively referred to as SCP-1118-3. While instances of SCP-1118-3 have been modified in a fashion similar to sets A through C, they are missing the necessary mounting material to be used in conjunction with SCP-1118-1. Instances of SCP-1118-3 appear to be significantly older than those in currently known SCP-1118-2 sets. Their labeling has deteriorated severely, but seems to contain markings in Elder Futhuk. No documentation exists detailing SCP-1118-3's role, but it is theorized SCP-1118-3 inspired the creation of SCP-1118-1 and SCP-1118-2.